welcome. We are gonna do the solo run in this video. It's probably gonna be the sequel to the previous video. I still need to do my daily dungeons and such, but I finished all my dailies from this morning. Something we want to bring up is the stats, and obviously you guys have seen my gear already. I did change a bit. For example, I got the belt now, which has less piercing, but I do have damage against boss, so I'm roughly at 8% now. My earring's been swapped out. I got piercing and a damage to boss earring, which is blue. Savagery necklace with piercing and accuracy, so I've been missing less, so my accuracy is now at 88, and everything has been dumped into strength. I'm still needing better gear, such as changing out my chest piece for damage to boss and some strength, for example, or accuracy. It's not the best or equipment that I have, or armor, but it's pretty decent, I would have to say. The most important part is the weapon, and a lot of you have been wondering, like, why don't you just solo it again, make a better video, because it's faster now when you have better gear, and that's what I'm going to be talking about when I enter the dungeon. So with the build, I am going to go more into, well, I don't really need Blood Price, because I can just dump that into Bloodlust and Greatsword Mastery. Due to not having any priest with me, I'm going to have to rely on Bloodlust a little bit more. Same thing with potions and such. So I want to play safe, so I'm just going to max these two skills for now. It will increase my attack, obviously. As you can see, it does increase a lot if you play with Greatsword Mastery. But yeah, this is my build, Groundbreaker build. Let's get in and let's get it started. So what I would like to talk about is, when you enter a dungeon, a level 50 dungeon, you're level 60, you are going to get Fair Fight. So Fair Fight is something that's going to be shown above the boss health. So as you can see above the health, there's a purple icon there with a devil imp thingy on the top. And it says over here, attributes, or Fair Fight. Attributes are adjusted when facing a weaker enemy. So boss is weaker than me, and all my stats, you won't see this, but your damage is going to be much lower against Pyros. As you noticed in my parsing video, I do about 10k per hit on spin, but now it's down to 8k. So I've been reduced on the damage. Each Groundbreaker is 70k, 60k, and I usually do 100 plus when I do it on a dummy or enemies outside with 10 stacks. So yeah, you can tell that the Fair Fight is actually reducing my speed run, or AK speeding up the dungeon run when you're trying to attempt for bosses like this with Fair Fight. And this is also applied to enemies that are in open world. So anything that's in Victoria Island, the first map of Maplestory 2, you are gonna have the Fair Fight on all the enemies. However, if you're playing in Karkar Island and you're doing world bosses over there, the enemies do not have Fair Fight. So you can go all out ham and try out the DPS over there. But for the video, I guess we're gonna try to speed this up. Hopefully it's not too long of a video, but it's just a showcase to whoever that messaged me or commented about, do a new video because you're strong enough. This is what I was talking about when it comes to solo. You're just gonna handicap yourself no matter what. Fair Fight, solo, it takes too long. So yeah. And I've been talking in between as well, so I haven't really been paying much attention or focus on the fight itself. I could go a little bit ham, but I figured I might as well give some commentary when I do this type of runs. But yeah, it's not too hard. I mean, it's mainly just to showcase. The battle itself is fairly easy. Not much you can do about it except for, you know, spending your 1 hour trying to solo this. But it's a good practice if you do want to play against or play with people that needs experience. You can enter it alone. You're not going to lose out on the drop. You only get the drop, or it counts your drop when you kill the boss. So yeah, it's going to be on the southeast. I do make some mistakes here and there, which kind of sucks, but what can you do? When you're recording and not trying to be, you know, the best, I usually tend to not speak then. When I don't speak, then I can, you know, focus a bit more on trying to get a faster timer on these solo runs. I would definitely not recommend doing this unless it's for personal achievement. There's nothing good of doing things solo. You do want to socialize and, you know, do things faster with a group of party, because fair fight will happen to all your party members. However, you are gonna have the triple amount of damage dealt on the boss because you have more people in the party. Something I could not showcase, for example, is since I'm going with a solo run video, there's also another thing I would like to showcase, which was the build with Void Slash, just to try out the damage in 1 minute. I haven't really parsed my damage right now. I mean, the video has been going on for 7 minutes now, but you can see the total damage or the parsing DPS meter on the left side, that it's been 21 minutes already of me talking and, you know, preparing stuff and such. But you know, feel free to try out the DPS in 1 minute against Pyros. I mean, it's not the best way to do it, but consider that he's moving around a lot. But it's something you can, you know, just to check out how much you can dish out before he goes into the charging mode. My recommendation would be start the parsing when he stands still, basically, when he doesn't charge around with the flames. That's a good way to check your total damage. Oh, he decided to do spin to win himself. Yeah, nothing to be afraid of. I mean, the most important part is to learn the pattern of the boss. If you're being a little bit too hardcore with your damage as a berserker, you kind of want to stay within the 10 Dark Aura stacks all the time of the boss. But if you're trying to learn the fight itself from the scratch, just have patience, learn the mechanics, and you know, play it safe rather than getting hit or being a burden to your party members. And you may have noticed I am doing a little bit more mistakes here and there, not looking at my SP, for example. Like, I know a Groundbreaker build is usually a build where people are avoiding because of the amount of SP you're spending, and you're ending up doing spins only majority of the time. So starting off, 1, 2, 3, 4, blood loss, 5, and that's gonna be about, yeah, 5 Groundbreakers before you run out of SP. And you'll restart the whole thing doing the same thing. Try to look at your SP, switch between spin, switch between Groundbreaker with this build. Another thing I would recommend utilizing when you're avoiding the boss. I'm gonna get hit? No? Okay. So another thing you want to utilize is your cross slash. So cross slash is your default skill for dodging. You can use it 3 times. This is a good way to fill in if you don't want to spin, to gain some spirits, but also to reposition yourself due to the boss being a pain in the ass moving around or whatnot. And whenever that's out of, whenever you're out of stamina, you want to use the Void Slash instead, because you still have spirit to use it. Oh, I got hit by the turret. So yeah, another thing I would recommend is to not stand too close when he does the tail, because of the hitbox is not only the it's not only the tail indicator or the AoE on the floor, it's actually his whole hitbox counts in for that as well. Another tip is, if you're unsure about your position of using your Groundbreaker, I would say try to do a jump and then do the Groundbreaker in mid-air, because then you have a rough estimate of where you're gonna land when you do your attacks. Like, you decide where you wanna aim your Groundbreaker, so doing a jump to a direction and then do the Groundbreaker usually helps out. Yeah, this is just to showcase the fair fights and that the gear really doesn't matter. A lot of people that asks about, oh, I need 3k gear score, or I need this amount of blah 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 for dungeon, I need DPS only and whatnot. It doesn't matter. I mean, it will matter if you're new to the dungeon. Like, let's say you started off at 2.1k and you just entered the dungeon, then yes, you are gonna have some minor like DPS in comparison to someone that's higher geared. But once you got the gear, like the whole set from the dungeon, let's say the headpiece, the what's the word for it? The armor, the bottom, the pants, all of that. Once you have that, you're gonna be good. Like, you have your armor to survive. You're not getting one shot from the laser, for example. So that's the only requirement I would say is the important part for Pyros. Another important part is to obviously have a weapon that's purple, which you can get in 4 runs if you're new. But yeah, upgrading the weapon is just an optional thing for now. You can speed up a little bit to min-max the amount of fair fight that's being you know, reduced to. I mean, if you are going obviously with the lowest gear, you are going to do lowest damage. But if you do have, let's say, +6 on your weapon, I think that should be enough. Majority are going with +9, +10. That's the minimum for a fast run, I would say, without fair fight being too harsh on your damage. So if you do get a, you know, godly weapon, let's say the best stats that you can get, like piercing and bonus damage to boss, or physical piercing, magical piercing, then yeah, upgrade that one, because that's gonna be the weapon of your choice until November. And when you're in November, you're gonna do chaos raids, and that's gonna be mattering a lot with the bonus stats. And you don't have to worry about farming these dungeons anymore in the future then, because you're just gonna do raids as your main goal. But yes, our recommendation is to have at least +10 on your weapon to sort of speed up things. You can do faster runs, but you are gonna get cut by the fair fights. But as you can see, we're already in 14 minutes. I'm not sure if it's gonna be a 50-minute run like I had in my other video, which took me roughly 50 minutes, under 1 hour for sure, to solo this. And obviously I've been talking and, you know, trying to play a little bit more casually. I'm not going as ham as I would be, but good job to whoever that does it quicker. I mean, it doesn't really matter, you're just wanting gear anyways, so do not get bothered by people are doing it fast or whatever. I'm just here to showcase how casually you can do this without worrying too much. And yeah, don't panic. That's the key to the game. If you panic, if you're not sure, I mean, it's understandable if it's your first time, but you know, with practice, you should take this pretty easily. Like, you won't be a burden to the party if you're calm, and you won't die too often. So that's the most, or the only recommendation I would say is the best thing to do for Fire Dragon. If you are partying up with people that are relying on gear score and they are dying 24/7, and you know, that's their way of doing the daily dungeons, then let them do that. But for me, it's more about playing consistently without having, you know, too much deaths and not being too much of a burden to the party. As long as you're knowing the mechanics in and out, I'm fine with it. But the recommendation would be, for example, if you're playing with a group of friends, if you want to go for the faster runs, then you obviously need to upgrade whenever you have the chance to do that on your weapons. But yeah, fair fights. We're gonna have to look up on that in November. Hopefully that's gonna be something that's gonna be a lot more easier for everyone else that has a custom party, for example. Like, for example, I do hope that they add a way that fair fight is not too harsh if you're being a pre-made party. And it's only gonna be happening for those that are searching through matchmaking instead. Because being in a custom party, I feel like you're just slowing down the amount of... Well, you're wasting a lot of time doing dungeons because the fair fight is kicking you for not... Even though if you have like a plus 11, plus 15 weapon or whatever, you're gonna get nerfed no matter what. And I kinda wish hardcore parties or any parties that prefers to have their daily dungeons done fast, you know, that's gonna affect them. But if you're playing casually, I don't think it matters that much. I know there's a video, for example, where people are talking about fair fight and it's already good as it is or whatnot. In my opinion, it really doesn't bother me. The only thing it bothers me is that it will affect my other players that are focusing on trying to get things done within the day. A lot of people don't have a lot of time to play, so fair fight does slow down the farming for sure. But if you are one of those players that complains about fair fight and then you're complaining about the weekly dungeons and you're not making any ults, that's on your fault. Because if you're a hardcore player, you know what you have the options to do. It's one of those Korean games where you always, you know, play with ults to get your weekly loot and upgrade your main character much faster. Fair fight is also something that is there to balance out so that players don't feel like they're being a burden or, you know, being locked out because of the elitist players being or hardcore players decides to pick, you know, players that are higher geared. So there's two sides to it. I don't really care too much. I'm always there to help people. If people need dungeon runs, I'm helping my guild members first, and then I help my friends, real life friends obviously, and for those that need, that drops by the stream, for example, if I stream the game and do daily dungeons, which I rarely do, but yeah. Party Finder itself is pain in the ass. People are looking for gear score. Hopefully we'll find some way of, you know, mention about fair fight will kick in and it doesn't matter what gear you have, as long as you meet the requirements to enter and not being a burden to the party, then that's the only thing I would rather want to talk about when it comes to recruiting for dungeon runs or daily dungeons. So yeah, do not do this solo. It's not recommended. It takes roughly 1 hour with fair fight. Something that a lot of players want to avoid as well. You do not want to spend 10 hours a day, you know. There's been people that does normal dungeon, for example, for 20 minutes a run even. And that's not because of fair fight, but that's also because of them being either bad or they just don't know the mechanics or know how to fight, or there's maybe lag or whatnot. But you should be happy that you can at least do your 10 daily dungeons and 30 weekly dungeons, in my opinion. The only downside is that we are being split up with the community because they don't know too well about how the system works. And fair fight is one of them. Bonus attributes of gear is going to be one of them when November comes in, because people are going to be shit in DPS. And of course people that comments about builds and such. Like for example, I don't know much, but I do research as much as possible to try to help out for players to, you know, get used to their own classes, basically. It's always the personal preference. So if you're a Void Slasher or if you're a Groundbreaker, it's really up to you. Like, I can't tell you to, you know, stick to only one build. Try them out yourself. There's free reset, free stat reset. So do everything, like try everything out and see for yourself which one suits you the best, which one, like what's the best way for you to farm, what's the best way for you to play. And most importantly, you kind of need to have some good times and have fun with the game and not just farm and do your daily. I mean, if you are playing multiple games, then yeah, I can see it being a thing. Like you want to do your 10 daily dungeons, get it done as fast as possible, etc, etc. But if you're playing this as a main game, I would say try to relax a bit, have fun, you know, do other things. If you're only playing it for the dungeons and getting better loot, there's no PvP at the moment. And if you're trying to aim for, you know, being #1 PvE player or whatever, I mean, it all depends on the 10 players in the raid later on who's gonna complete it first. So that's the only thing I would say is mattering for the dungeon or for the competitive side of PvE. So I'm playing on the safe side at this point. I do not wanna risk on using my potions because I do want to save my potions. I know it's cheap potions anyways, like the white one and the orange potions and whatnot, but they are going to be useful in the future when you are doing other dungeons, except for Fire Dragon, for example, because Fire Dragon is one of the easiest fights that you can do out there. So yeah, try not to use as much potions as you want to in this, because if you're doing this with a party, with a priest or whatnot, you're gonna have it easier, you're not gonna waste too much potions. Otherwise, I'd recommend doing the hiding part, because the hiding part is literally your best way to not take any damage throughout the fight. Yeah, we're 20 minutes in. I mean, it's somewhat faster than last time. I mean, I did beat it in 50 minutes before, so we're gonna be at 30 minutes to 40 minutes. It really depends, but yeah. Let's see. Can I lifesteal? Potion. No. So the reason why you see me hide earlier and I don't hide at the moment is because of I know the mechanics in and out. I know when he does certain things. So what he does is he likes to do the fire breath twice, and then he goes off with the laser. And after the laser, he does the fire breath again, and then he does this AoE, which is your DPS moment. So I usually like to go ham and stay in DPS when he does the laser, Because after that he's gonna do a fire breath, and after that fire breath he's gonna do AoE. So that's the DPS moment, and that's where I waste my potions to stay alive, and to time in with my bloodlust. So there we go. Spin, spin, spin. Fire breath. But yeah, I think I spoke about all the things I wanted to say. I mean, if you guys have any other questions, feel free to leave the comments down below. I don't think I have anything else to cover up at the moment. I mean, I spoke pretty much 25 minutes in, like, non-stop, regarding my opinions and all the stuff that I had to cover up regarding trying to solo. And you do, or you might have noticed that I am failing sometime with my skills, like not checking at my SP, or I'm just too greedy trying to get that, you know, one extra groundbreaker in. But yeah, it's better to have more consistent DPS than trying to sacrifice your time on trying to get an extra groundbreaker in. So this is, what, cycle 3 or something? We do need to reduce his health to a fairly high, or fairly low health. I think it's about 100 million or something. Laser. Go. Thank you, and this is going to be the easier part. So I did get hit by all the tails and whatnot. It's just a showcase, you know, the things you can do, like solo. Like, I don't really care too much about the rank. It doesn't really benefit me much. I mean, it's for bragging rights that you've done S rank on certain dungeons. But if you're soloing and, you know, trying to do the best as you can with the time and whatnot, you just want to go ham and solo the video, or yeah, try to beat it as fast as possible. So I've already gotten hit by the laser 3 times, or maybe even more. I've gotten hit by the tail multiple times. And yeah, this is just to showcase, you know, the video and how easy it is to play this solo. But then again, play this in party. Never do this solo. Oh, I got hit once. Actually, I got hit twice. Almost. I'm gonna get hit. Yep. Oh, got down. So I did a mistake there, standing next to a hole. The hole over there actually covered up the AoE on the floor, which made me unable to see it. Oh, a lot of tail. yeah, it wasn't too bad with the upgraded stuff. I guess it's 20 minutes less if you compare to a low level equipment at the moment. Yeah, it does have an effect, obviously. You're still getting fair fight though, reduced damage and whatnot. All your stats are reduced to a certain degree, I guess. But yeah, if you're interested in doing things faster, obviously get the gear and then upgrade it. Only a weapon is my recommendation, but if you don't really care too much, if you're playing with friends and you know whatnot, if you don't want to be bothered, or if they're not being bothered about you not having the perfect stats on your weapon, for example, then feel free to just play it normally. Like, you don't have to have everything at max gear unless you are trying to join parties that are looking for a certain amount of gear score. So if you guys are wondering why am I not soloing the other dungeons, the other dungeons will require me to die a lot or use a lot of potions. Likewise with certain phases, like in Labyrinth Halls for example, you're gonna have to deal with ads, because I don't think solo you won't be able to outdamage the heals that he gets. As for Balrog, you are gonna die a lot due to the AoE thingy. Another thing that would kill you is Lubelisk. You're gonna have to kill ads, and then you have to kill Vericant or Magnus. So all of those dungeons, Nutaman as well, it requires you to have parties. So don't try to bother solo those. But for this, yeah, you can do this by yourself. So I got A rank, not the best. I mean, it's still something, but yeah. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys understand now that fair fight is a thing and you won't be able to solo most of this stuff. And when you do solo, you are gonna have some benefits. I apologize for the knocking sound on the background. I am a little bit busy. But yeah, upgrade your weapon if you want to go for 20 minutes faster, but otherwise it's fair fight still kicking your ass. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.